Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 5, Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha, text number 14 onwards. So the 10,000 sons of Prajapati Daksha, Haryashvas, they were preached to by Narad Muni. They were already at the holy lake, and they were very, very advanced people spiritually, because Narad Muni, he spoke only one verse, and they already figured out so many meanings out of it. Okay, this means that, and that means that. And they're still speaking about every single part of that verse that Narad Muni preached to them. And let's see what they further say. Nana Rupat Mano Buddhi Swaraniv Gunanvita Tanishtham Gatasyeha Kimasat Karma Vir Bhavet. So last line of every verse that they spoke is Kim Asat Karma Vir Bhavet. That what is the use of performing temporary fruitive activities? Means they are so advanced. To preach to King Prachin Barhishat, Narad Muni had to speak so many things, so many analogies. But here he spoke only one verse, and these devotees, these sons of Daksha, they just understood everything. So further they are saying, Narad Muni had described a woman who's a professional prostitute. The Haryashvas understood the identity of this woman. Mixed with the mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dresses just to attract one's attention. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this has taken place, what does he actually gain? A woman who has no husband declares herself independent, which means that she becomes a prostitute. A prostitute generally dresses herself in various fashions intended to attract a man's attention to the lower part of her body. Today, it has become a much advertised fashion for a woman to almost go naked, covering the lower part of her body only slightly in order to draw the attention of a man to her private parts for sexual enjoyment. The intelligence, now in the shloka, actually this intelligence was compared to that prostitute. Intelligence engaged to attract a man to the lower part of the body is the intelligence of a professional prostitute. Similarly, the intelligence of a living entity who does not turn his attention toward Krishna or the Krishna consciousness movement simply changes dresses like a prostitute. What is the benefit of such foolish intelligence? One should be intelligently conscious in such a way that he needs no longer change from one body to another. So change of dresses is like changes of the body. But the intelligence which is not serving the Lord, who's a real Swami, who's a real owner of the intelligence, is acting like a prostitute. Of course, Bhagavatam speaks very strictly, very stringent words are used in Bhagavatam. But this is to drive the point home. And what kind of analogy is given here? It's amazing. Karmis change their professions at any moment, but a Krishna conscious person does not change his profession. For his only profession is to attract the attention of Krishna by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. and living a very simple life without following daily changes of fashion. In our Krishna consciousness movement, fashionable persons are taught to adopt one fashion, the dress of a Vaishnava with a shaved head and tilak. They are taught to be always clean in mind, dress, and eating in order to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. What is the use of changing one's dress, sometimes wearing long hair and a long beard, and sometimes dressing otherwise? This is not good. One should not waste his time in such frivolous activities. One should always be fixed in Krishna consciousness and take the cure of devotional service with firm determination. So even in Krishna consciousness movement, we see many people, they do all sorts of fashions. The other day, somebody posted a question that is it okay to use henna, mehndi? So I asked, is this henna for the hands or for the hair? Or what do you mean? Then he said, well, anywhere, whatever. What is the guidance? Of course, this is on another group. So I said, because we all have this tendency, and we want to color our hair. We don't want to look old, although we are old. But I said, we are having competition actually among devotees also. Who has the latest iPhone and who has the latest laptop? Who's wearing best quality dhotis of matka silk or this or that, and Mataji's who's wearing the best sari and the jewelry, and sometimes I see devotees having kanti mala made of gold interspersed with tulsi beads, and then the watches, latest watches, sometimes a Fitbit of Apple or some other watch, and the shoes, because we want to go for a walk, so we have to have better, very nice shoes, and so on and so forth. Or in summer or in winter when it is, and we want to have Monte Carlo or North Face jackets and sweaters and this and that. So which is up to a devotee. So then I said, I mean, having all this, then you're just talking about coloring of hair. Is that such a big deal? So this has become a norm actually these days, to have all the fashionable things in the name of devotional service. But that actually, basically, it is there. One thing is to attract the other sex, especially for youngsters, and for old people, it's to show off. But this is not how we attract Krishna. The main idea should be, how good is my chanting, and how much I'm developing mood to serve devotees, serve Krishna. So Namaruchi Jividya Vaishnav Seva. These are the qualities of a devotee. If we are developing that, then these outward things will slowly go away. Not a big deal. but this has unfortunately become a norm. So further, Haryash was speaking. Tat Sangha Bhranchit Aishwaryam Samsarantam Kubharyavat Tad Gatir Buddhasyeha Kim Asat Karma Bhavet. Narad Muni had also spoken of a man who is the husband of the prostitute. The Haryashvas understood this as follows. If one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. Similarly, If a living entity has polluted intelligence, he prolongs his materialistic life. Frustrated by material nature, he must follow the movements of the intelligence, which brings various conditions of happiness and distress. If one performs fruitive activities under such conditions, what will be the benefit? So polluted intelligence or the materialistic intelligence, it just prolongs his materialistic life, and then he commits, he does so many activities, which sometimes brings him happiness, sometimes distress. Polluted intelligence has been compared to a prostitute. One who has not purified his intelligence is said to be controlled by that prostitute. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuru nandan. Those who are actually serious are conducted by one kind of intelligence, namely intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Bahushaka enantascha buddhyo avyavasayina. One who is not fixed in proper intelligence discovers many modes of life. Thus, involved in material activities, he is exposed to the different modes of material nature and subjected to varieties of so-called happiness and distress. If a man becomes the husband of a prostitute, he cannot be happy. And similarly, one who follows the dictations of material intelligence and material consciousness will never be happy. So the material intelligence is like living with the prostitute. Because it will always take us here, go there, go there, go here. It demands so many things. One must judiciously understand the activities of material nature. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriyamana, the bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. Although one follows the dictations of material nature, he happily thinks himself the master or husband of material nature. Scientists, for example, try to be the masters of material nature, life after life, not caring to understand the Supreme Person under whose direction everything within this material world is moving. Trying to be the masters of material nature, they are imitation gods who declare to the public that scientific advancement will one day be able to avoid the so-called control of God. In fact, however, the living being, unable to control the rulings of God, is forced to associate with the prostitute of polluted intelligence and accept various material bodies. So scientists, they whatever they claim that, okay, we have so much of intelligence, we have so much of technology now, and very soon we'll be able to avoid the so-called control of God. Not gonna happen. That's not how Krishna has designed the material world. We think we are we are very much advanced, but we are not. Look at this coronavirus. I mean, all over the all over the world, people are suffering. People are dying. And in fact, as I mentioned in the group today, I got my second shot of the vaccine today. And I asked that pharmacist who was giving me the medicine, giving me the shot, because here in America, they're giving just a paper card, just a small card. I said, this is what I'm going to carry out. You're going to issue some plastic card that doesn't get destroyed. She said, actually, we don't know yet. There might be a third shot. So there could be a booster we have to give. They're still working on it. So this is our advancement. We don't know anything about this virus yet. And so many mutations have come about. We don't know where we're going to end up. No idea. Nobody has any idea. And we think we are We are the controllers. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities and does not solve this real problem, what profit will he gain? But this is how the world runs. Nobody cares for the spiritual advancement. All they want to know more and more about the material world and to enjoy more and more this material. Even amongst all the problems we are facing. So Haryashvas further speak, Srishti apyaya karim maya vela kulantu vegitam mattasya tama vigyasya kimasat karm bhavet. Narad Muni had said there is a river flowing in both directions. The Haryashvas understood the purport of this statement. Material nature functions in two ways, by creation and dissolution. Thus, the river of material nature flows both ways. A living entity who unknowingly falls in this river is submerged in its waves, and since the current is swifter near the banks of the river, he is unable to get out. What will be the benefit of performing fruitive activities in that river of Maya? So this river that flows both ways means it functions in two ways, creation and destruction or dissolution. So one who falls in this river of Maya, so sometimes we are happy we are creating something, and then a wave comes and everything is destroyed, and then again we get busy in creating something, and another wave comes and everything is destroyed. So what is the benefit of performing fruitive activities? So much of energy, so much of time, effort, everything is put in to create things, create empires, but it will all be gone. What's the use? One may be submerged in the waves of the river of Maya, but one may also get free from the waves by coming to the banks of knowledge and austerity. Near these banks, however, the waves are very strong. If one does not understand how he is being tossed by the waves, but simply engages in temporary fruitive activities, what benefit will he derive? And we generally say, oh, samsar to aise hi chalta hai. This is how samsar goes on. Yeah, this is how samsar goes on, but who's asking us to be part of that samsar? In the Brahma Samhita, there is a statement, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha. The Maya Shakti Durga is in charge of Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, creation and dissolution. And she acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord. When one falls in the river of Nishans, he is always tossed here and there by the waves. But the same Maya can also save him when he surrenders to Krishna or becomes Krishna conscious. Krishna consciousness is the knowledge and austerity. A Krishna conscious person takes knowledge from the Vedic literature, and at the same time, he must practice austerities. To attain freedom from material life, one must take to Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if one very busily engages in the so-called advancement of science, what benefit will he derive? If one is carried away by the waves of nature, what's the meaning of being a great scientist or philosopher? Mundane science and philosophy are also material creations. One must understand how Maya works and how one can be released from the tossing waves of the river of nescience. That is one's first duty. But to understand how Maya works, That's a big thing, because being submerged in this waves or in the river of Maya, we cannot even understand how Maya works. Somebody has to open our eyes. And as in the shloka, it is said that at the banks, the waves, the current is very strong than in the middle. So banks means knowledge and austerity, or Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness. So one who tries to be Krishna conscious while going up and down in the waves of Maya, it's very difficult in the beginning. But once he takes shelter of Krishna, takes shelter of lotus feet of Krishna, takes shelter of devotees of Krishna, who just grab him and keep him from flowing away, and then he continues with this process, slowly, 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 he can come out of that waves of the river of Maya. But it's very difficult. It's not that easy. Maya is not going to let us go that easily. Because this is her service to Krishna, to make sure we are ready, to make sure we are fit to get out. Pancha Vishat Tattvanam Purusho Adbhut Darpana Adhyatmam Buddhasyeha Kim Asat Karma Bhir Bhavet. Narad Muni had said that there is a house made of 25 elements. The Haryashvas understood this analogy. The Supreme Lord is a reservoir of 25 elements. And as a Supreme Being, the conductor of cause and effect, he causes their manifestation. If one engages in temporary fruitive activities, not knowing that Supreme Person, what benefit will he derive? So this 25 elements, everything in the material world is made of these 25 elements. But what is the point in just in being in this 25 elements house and not understanding these are all temporary? Philosophers and scientists conduct scholarly research to find the original cause, but they should do so scientifically, not whimsically or through fantastic theories. The science of the original cause is explained in various Vedic literatures. Adhatu Brahma Jigyasa. The Vedanta Sutra explains that one should inquire about the Supreme Soul. Such inquiry about the Supreme is called Brahma Jigyasa. The absolute truth, Tattva, is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti Tattva Tattva Vidas. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. The absolute truth appears to neophytes as impersonal Brahman and to advanced mystic yogis as Paramatma, the super soul. But devotees who further advance understand the absolute truth as the Supreme Lord, Vishnu. This material cosmic manifestation is an expansion of the energy of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Whatever we see in this world is but an expansion of the various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is like a fire that spreads illumination for a long distance, although it is situated in one place. The entire cosmic manifestation is an expansion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, if one does not conduct research to find the Supreme Cause, but instead falsely engages in frivolous temporary activities, what's the use of demanding recognition as an important scientist or philosopher? If one does not know the ultimate cause, what's the use of his scientific and philosophic research? But in the material world or in the scientific communities, since nobody is on that level of trying to understand the Supreme Cause, So they just praise each other for whatever philosophy or theory or whatever formula the other person has come up with, because they just think, oh, this is so wonderful, that is so wonderful. But when it comes to the understanding the real cause, they have no idea. And if somebody brings about that knowledge, they just try to ridicule it. They just ridicule him, or they say, this is not scientific. Just like before we studied Srila Prabhupada's books, didn't really understand anything about religion or the connection between religion and science. Now reading Srila Prabhupada's books and still haven't understood anything or everything of Srila Prabhupada's books, but still coming to the understanding that all this scientific knowledge, mundane scientific knowledge, it's good. They have put in so much of time and effort, but it's taking us more and more away from Krishna, the ultimate cause. So what is the use? And this is what Haryashvas is saying. What's the use? The Purusha, the original person, Bhagavan Vishnu, can be understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only by devotional service can one understand the Supreme Person who is behind everything. One must try to understand that the material elements are the separated inferior energy of the Lord, and that the living entity is the Lord's spiritual energy. Whatever we experience, including matter and the spirit soul, the living force, is but a combination of two energies of Lord Vishnu, the inferior energy and the superior energy. One should seriously study the facts concerning creation, maintenance, and devastation, as well as the permanent place from which one never need return. Human society should study this, but instead of culturing such knowledge, people are attracted to temporary happiness and sense gratification, culminating in bottomless, topless passion. Bottomless, topless passion. And we all know what Prabhupada is meaning by that. There is no profit in such activities. One must engage himself in the Krishna consciousness movement. And actually, what is the use of making so much advancement? And somebody can say, well, the advancement in technology and the medical science and other activities, they are also helping devotees in preaching better and living in a better way. And this, well, devotees use everything in the service of Krishna. Devotional service was there when all these advancements were not there, and devotional service is there when these advancements are there, and they'll continue, carry on. But there are chances that devotees, because we are all a neophyte, there's so much in the beginning stages that we can get enamored or distracted by these technological or scientific advancements. So the best is to just have whatever is necessary, because everybody's necessity is different, and use the rest of the time in service of Krishna. And as Prabhupada said many times, that what does a person need? All he needs is some land and a cow, and that's it. He can grow his own food, and with cow he can have a milk. He can have milk, and rest of the time he can chant. Actually, think about that. All we need is that only. That's it. The rest, everything is it's just toppings, extra toppings. Or like in one lecture that Guru Sadguru Vasudev Jaggiv, he was saying that there are so much of frills in the life that we are forgetting the main skirt, the main dress. We're just busy in the frills. So we don't need all these frills. These are just additional things that we have created. We think that this is a necessity. Actually, it's not. So simple living and high thinking, that's the way to make progress. Aishwaram Shastram Utsrijya Bandhamokshanudarshanam Vivikta Padam Adhyaya Kimasat Karma Bhir Bhavit. Narad Muni had spoken of his swan. That swan is explained in this verse. The Vedic literatures, Shastras, vividly describe how to understand the Supreme Lord, the source of all material and spiritual energy. Indeed, they elaborately explain these two energies. The swan Hansa is one who discriminates between matter and spirit, who accepts the essence of everything and who explains the means of bondage and the means of liberation. The words of scriptures consist of variegated vibrations. If a foolish rascal leaves aside the study of these shastras to engage in temporary activities, what will be the result? The Krishna consciousness movement is very eager to present Vedic literature in modern languages, especially Western languages such as English, French, and German. The leaders of the Western world, the Americans and Europeans, have become the idols of modern civilization because the Western people are very sophisticated in temporary activities for the advancement of material civilization. A sane man, however, can see that all such grand activities, although perhaps very important for temporary life, have nothing to do with the eternal life. The entire world is imitating the materialistic civilization of the West. And therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement is very much interested in giving the Western people knowledge by translating the original Sanskrit Vedic literatures into Western languages. And this is true. The Western civilization, Americans, Europeans, people all over the world want to follow them because they think if we live like Americans or Europeans, then our life will be so much well off. Because where do we learn this American and European culture? Either on TV or in the internet these days. At least internet, social media, we get some glimpse of what the real life is here. But the TV shows are all manipulated. And we think that they all are enjoying so much. They all look so beautiful, pretty, handsome, pretty girls and handsome, charming men with wonderful clothes they are wearing and so much of cleanliness and everything is in order. But once we come here, then we realize actually it is not so. And everybody looks so happy on TV in the different shows or in the movies. Not really so. Not so. Because this culture here is completely based on sense gratification. That's all. Of course, there are many, many wonderful people also. I'm not denying that. Wonderful people and they go to church and they do so much of charity. but on the whole, I mean, most of the people, they just want to enjoy. That's their mentality. Whether now the enjoyment and if any people don't have spiritual knowledge, that enjoyment will only be the bars or the clubs or in the movies, or going with girlfriends or boyfriends, this place or that place, or then on the beach or a hill station or whatever. Now the question is, how long that kind of enjoyment lasts? Whether somebody is drinking alcohol, how much he can drink and how much he can enjoy. But that has become standard of enjoyment. That is our barometer of enjoyment. If we can, among our friends, I can boast and I can drink 10 pegs and this liquor and that liquor, and I still keep my consciousness or intelligence okay. What kind of enjoyment is that? Where is the enjoyment? But this is what Prabhupada has come and given to Western people, well, to Indians also. Whether Indians here or Indians in India, we are no less degraded than the Western people. And this is all the bottom line has become how much I can drink and how much I can go to bars or clubs and spend money here or there. And then we think I'm happy because everybody else is making me think, oh, you're such a wonderful man. You can do this or that. Or when I'm in a club, then when I get drunk, then I can dance just ridiculously and throwing hands and legs everywhere. And everybody's laughing and I'm laughing and I think I'm enjoying. What enjoyment? In Kirtan of Hare Krishna, devotees are dancing and chanting and their faces are effulgent and they're laughing and they're happy. The real happiness is there. That is real enjoyment, actually. And people have experienced that. People do tell this thing. That is a real enjoyment. When we take out Sankirtan on the roads, or when we do Kirtan in the temple hall, or like we did Kirtan in the trains and at the airports, people also join. They enjoy this Kirtan. That is a real enjoyment. Because the soul is happy. Here, different cultures and different ways we think we can enjoy. How much we can enjoy now these days, by the mercy of Corona, now everybody is stuck at home. Now what is a man's way to enjoy? Just look at a computer screen whole day. So do work on computer, and watch movies on computer, and talk to each other on computer, and that's it. But the devotees, they really enjoy it because even in this time, well, we get more time. We don't have to get stuck in the traffic, driving through rush hour traffic. And so we have more time, so we can chant more, read more, do some more services. But not everybody can understand this. Text 19. Kal chakram bhramitikshnam sarvam nishkarshayat jagat swatantram abadhasyeha kim asat karma bhavet. Narad Muni had spoken of a physical object made of sharp blades and thunderbolts. The Haryashvas understood this allegory as follows. Eternal time moves very sharply, as if made of razors and thunderbolts, uninterrupted and fully independent. It drives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? This verse explains the words Kshora Pavyam Swayam Brahmi, which especially refers to the orbit of eternal time. It is said that time and tide wait for no man, according to the moral instructions of the great politician Chanakya Pandit. Even a moment of one's lifetime could not be returned in exchange for millions of dollars. Therefore, one should consider how much loss one suffers if he wastes even a moment of his life for nothing. Living like an animal, not understanding the goal of life, one foolishly thinks that there is no eternity and that his lifespan of 50, 60, or at the most 100 years is everything. This is the greatest foolishness. Time is eternal, and in the material world, one passes through different phases of his eternal life. Time is compared here to a sharp razor. A razor is meant to shave the hair from one's face, but if not carefully handled, the razor will cause disaster. One is advised not to create a disaster by misusing his lifetime. One should be extremely careful to utilize the span of his life for spiritual realization or Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, this time, the wheel of time is going to destroy everything. It can just cut our life short. So same time we can utilize, every moment we can utilize in the service of Krishna. And if we don't, then what is the benefit from performing temporary material activities, which in the end just gonna go away? Everything that we have is gonna go away. Just like if somebody offers us, okay, so today, now, after the class is over, you'll be the owner of $10 billion. $10 billion, all yours, but only for 1/10 of a second. What is the use? What are we going to do with it? We might think, oh, I'm a billionaire. I have $10 billion. I'm the second richest person of India after Mukesh Ambani, but only for 1/10 of a second. Well, if we look at our eternal life here in the material world, this 100 years, what we're going to live, if at the most 100 years, we don't even know 100 years. That is like a flash in the pan. It is like 1/10 of a second, maybe less than that. So why spend this 1/10 of a second in pursuit of so much of money-making activities that we forget the real purpose of life? Nothing wrong with money-making. One should make money, but understanding and remembering the purpose of life, that is a real way of living. Okay. I think we can stop here because next verse has a very long purport that we can take up tomorrow. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.